ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
So today's topic is Bhagavad Gita. Unusually, I am not going to discuss one verse of Bhagavad Gita. Neither I am going to discuss one chapter. I am going to discuss entire Bhagavad Gita with you in 40 minutes. So it's a crash course. It's a super crash course maybe. So you have to keep some focus on me, because if you lose the logic, you don't understand what's going on. Because I'm going to develop a logic from first chapter to 18th chapter. And this will help you to have an overview framework of Bhagavad Gita, so that you can understand what this book is all about and why ISKCON is so much fanatic about this book. We distribute Gita, we read Gita, we eat Gita, we do everything with Gita. Gita is for us everything. So before starting, let me just offer obeisances. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namah. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pachari Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Vaishchatishta. Okay, so how many chapters are there in Bhagavad Gita? Everybody knows. 18 chapters. And how many verses? 700 verses. How many of you have read Bhagavad Gita once in your lifetime? I have read. Really? Complete Bhagavad Gita? Oh, okay, so if you think this is a book, you're wrong. It's not a book. This is mind of Krishna. Krishna is revealing his mind in front of us. When you open this book, you are entering the mind of God. People want to know about name, form, qualities and pastimes of Krishna. Yes, we are also interested. But more than that, we are interested to understand mind of God. Because that is all is love all about. If you want to develop a relationship with somebody, you have to know his name, address, everything about him. But more than that, you want to know, what do you feel about me? Is it? Or what do you think? That's the main thing you want to know about that person. That's what makes the relationship strong. So Krishna offers, okay, here is my mind, know me. So this book is not just a book, it is mind of God. The chapters of Bhagavad Gita are not just chapters. They are the progressive stages of a devotee through devotion. And the verses of Bhagavad Gita are not just verses. They are direct wisdom of life. And the words of Bhagavad Gita are not mere words. They are realizations of God. That's how we approach this book. This is a different book. It is not maths, chemistry, bio or academic study. We worship this book. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, anybody who reads Bhagavad Gita, he worships me through intelligence. So people are interested in worshipping Krishna, yes, through body, just like we were doing, dancing, arti. We are interested in worshipping Krishna through our voice, chanting Hare Krishna. We are interested in worshipping Krishna through mind, thinking about him, and also through intelligence by reading Bhagavad Gita. So, anytime you open the book, next time you open the book, don't think you're reading a book. You have to focus on this. So what is there in this book? Bhagavad Gita is not just religious book. Neither it is a mythological book. Neither it is a philosophical book. It is a manual of life. No philosopher knows how to lead life. They can make philosophies, but most of them have become mad. We know Western tradition. And religion nowadays, some connotations are bad for that word. people think it's fanaticism. Science has nothing to do with love and aesthetics. Subjectivity is out. Objective, quantitative things, that's what we want. So Bhagavad Gita is much beyond that. It's manual of life, is it? Prabhupada used to go to colleges. He said, is there any department which is teaching you how to live? No. There are department of maths, chemistry, bio, medical, engineering. What about how to live? That's amazing, no? Is there any department which is teaching you how to talk? No department. Did you learn, all of you, how to talk? We didn't learn because it is assumed we know how to talk or how to walk. Of course, Krishna is not teaching catwalk here, but there's a particular meaning of that. How to behave. All these things are taught in Bhagavad Gita. Is a manual. Just like to run a machine, you need some manual. To run this machine, body, mind, intelligence, you need some guidance, which is provided by this book. This book, you can destroy all libraries around the world. But if you don't have this book, this world is destroyed. That's all. Because if you don't have manual of life, what do? You don't know how to lead your life. Before you are a scientist, before you are a philosopher, before you are MD, PhD, whatever, blah, 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 you are human. And human means he should know what is human life all about. So this book, one book can solve all problems of society. Because if every person is acting properly, interacting properly, then automatically society becomes peaceful, is it? So Prabhupada, that's why Prabhupada went all around the world with this one book. If you have this book, you can argue with anybody on this planet. Prabhupada was doing that. Just through Bhagavad Gita. You don't need any other book. Because this is nothing to do. Bhagavad Gita doesn't tell you, do this, don't do this. There's no list like that. Doing this, don't do this. That's religious books. Is it? Formulas, rituals, blah, blah, blah. But Bhagavad Gita is not telling you what to do. More than that, it is telling you why to do. That's what we are interested in the modern age, no? Why we have to do all these things, okay? Why we have to worship Krishna? Why we have to come to temple? These are valid questions. And that's why Prabhupada said, 1 + 1 is 2. In America, in India, anywhere. So Bhagavad Gita is applicable everywhere. In Europe, in America, in India, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, everybody needs this book. Because this book is called Nirnaya Shastra. Nirnaya means it gives decisions. Other scriptures are called Updesh Shastra. It gives you instructions. So what is there in this book? Let us explore this. Not book, but the mind. What is there in the mind of God? What He wants to tell us. Remember, 18 chapters, 18 steps to God. So most of us are at first chapter, most of us second chapter, third chapter, fourth. Beyond fourth, it's difficult to go. So reading is one thing, but putting practice is another thing. So let's see what's there about. What is the name of first chapter? I have to finish crash course quickly. What's the name of first chapter? Anybody? Quick. Okay, Sanskrit is Arjun Vishad Yoga. How does Prabhupada translate in English? Observing the armies. And that's a beautiful name of this chapter. Observing the armies. If you understand first chapter, you understand whole Bhagavad Gita. But very few people even read first chapter, no? Because it's a little boring. Armies are standing, conch shell blowing, and this. Okay, forget it. Let's go to other chapters. But first chapter is observing the armies. Gita, Prabhupada purposefully kept this name, observing the armies, because Prabhupada is trying to make us clear. Krishna wants to help us understand how to observe reality. That's what is Gita all about, in one word. Now Duryodhan wants to fight, is it? He is observing armies. He is observing everybody. His observation concludes, I want to fight, I want to win, I want to kill. This is good. Arjuna is also observing. Same army, same battlefield, everything same. His conclusion of observation is, I don't want to fight, I don't want to win, I don't want to kill. Same setup, different observation. See? Different conclusions because different observation. Krishna is also observing the battlefield. Same setup, same people. Krishna's conclusion is, well, yes, we want to fight, but neither to win, neither to lose. Neither to kill, neither not to kill. Neither to attain victory, neither to not attain victory. Krishna says fight to establish religious principles. To establish religious principles. What is that religious principle? You should fight to establish love of God. That is his observation. He says, Arjun, you should fight because you have to show this word that how much you love me. That is what is Bhagavad Gita all about. Bhagavad Gita is not just establishing mundane religious principles. No, that's not Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna is trying to tell us, you should observe this material world as I observe. You should not observe this word as you observe, as Arjuna observes, as Duryodhana observes. Your observation is wrong. My observation is perfect. So Gita is trying to change your observation, your perception. Because what you see, that you think. What you think, that you feel. What you feel, that you act. And that's what is all life all about. So he wants to change our perception. That's Gita. Finish. But the point is, it's very difficult to change our perception, is it? Nobody wants to change his perception. So that's what Krishna tells Arjuna, I want this fight to happen for some other reasons other than Duryodhana. Arjuna says, Krishna, why do you want this fight to happen? So Krishna says, yes, Arjuna, I want this fight to happen so that you can show this word that you are my servant. Whatever I say, you follow. You can show this word that if you observe this word by your own reality, by your own plans, you will end up in suffering. That's what people say, no? According to me, this is like this. According to you, who are you? No? In India, many people say, anywhere, when we discuss Bhagavad Gita or anything spirituality, people say, oh, but according to me it's like that. Well, it's a presumption that you are correct. Why do you presume that I am correct? That's a logical fallacy, which Krishna is counteracting here. And to convince us on this one point, you have to change your observation. You have to understand how Krishna observes and then observe this word. You have to see this word as Krishna sees. In other words. But to do that, you have to become convinced. That is what is Bhagavad Gita all about. And that's where Krishna starts his second chapter. Now, Krishna's mission is to convince Arjuna to understand what is Krishna's observation, what is his plan. And Krishna's mission is to convince Arjuna to leave his stupid plans, no matter how much good they seem. That's what we lead our life like that, no? My plan for life is like this, like this, like this. Okay, what are you going to do with life? Yes, I plan my life. 10 years I'll do this, then I will retire, and then I'll do devotion. No, you should not take your own plans. You should understand plan of God. Okay, so what is second chapter? Now Krishna is on his mission to convince Arjuna. I think Bhagavad Gita was spoken for 40 minutes or something. How much? 40 minutes? 90 minutes? Okay, I have just 25 minutes to explain you faster than Krishna. So, okay, what's the second chapter? Second chapter is contents of Gita summarized. Now, to explain anybody, Krishna is not just want to explain Arjuna. Krishna wants to change his conviction. If you want to change somebody's conviction, you need to be very focused and logical, no? You need to give some proper logic, otherwise that person is not going to get convinced. So Krishna first speaks second chapter. His first step is to make Arjuna little bit out of depression. He is depressed. Krishna, I'll not fight. I'm confused. Should I fight or not? I don't know. So if you want to advise anybody, first you have to get him out of depression and confusion. If he's depressed, you can't advise. It's impossible. You say he'll not hear. Is it? It's common sense. Somebody's dead and you go to his house and you say, you know what, I have a plan. He says, come on, I can't hear anything. I'm like sad, Why you want to instruct me? It might rebound. So Krishna's first plan is to get him out of depression. That's second chapter. Second chapter, Krishna gives knowledge of soul. Is it? All these things. Soul is never dried, never cut, never slain. So don't worry, Arjuna. People are not going to die in this war, in this battle. Get out of depression. And that's what Krishna accomplished pretty much in second chapter. He summarizes everything. And Arjuna gets an idea why Krishna wants me to fight. And he says, yes, Krishna, fine. Okay, I understand some things. I can get a glimpse. And I'm no longer depressed. I'm ready for your instructions. So it is said in scriptures, 4 people you should never advise. You should never advise. One is you should never advise husband and wife. If they're fighting, don't go in between. You'll get a thrashing. If you take wife's side, husband will beat you. If you take husband's side, wife, no matter, they might be fighting together. It doesn't matter. Don't advise to Brahmanas. Brahmanas, 2 scholars, don't come in between them. You get messed up. Don't advise a girlfriend and a boyfriend. No, don't do that. And don't advise people who do not want advice. Is it? It's probably if you advise people who do not want advice, they'll advise you back. Come on, Prabhu, I don't need to advise. And don't advise a depressed person. Don't give him advice. So, Krishna accomplished his first target. After second chapter, Arjuna says, Krishna, I am fine. Like previous to that, my Gandhi was slipping, I was dying, I'm okay, I can manage myself. What is your message? So third chapter, Krishna begins his message. His mission to convince Arjuna. Leave your plans, throw your plans in dustbin. Throw your observation in dustbin, throw your conclusion in dustbin. Follow my observation, even if you cannot understand that now. And it's difficult to do that, no? If you don't understand something, why do you want to do that? So Krishna wants to say, okay, now I'll make you understand my observation. So third chapter is Karma Yoga. Is it? Everybody? So Karma Yoga means action in Krishna consciousness. Action. Karma means action. Yoga means, what's that? Linking. Link. So Karma Yoga, Krishna says, okay, Arjun, if you want to understand my plan, if you want to understand how I see this world, that's the point, that's a goal, then you have to begin with Karma Yoga. Now what is Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is not karma. Karma means action. Karma Yoga is not doing your duty, be truthful, manage your family, earn good money, be gentleman, don't do sin. That is not Karma Yoga. That is karma, mundane activity. Karma Yoga means doing actions which promote, which helps you to link with God. Simple, no? That's Karma Yoga. So Krishna says, yes, Arjun, start, if you want to understand me, start by acting for me. Now here is a point. Krishna doesn't say, you first try to understand me. That is 4th chapter. 3rd chapter, Krishna says, you begin by acting for me. Is it? Do some actions for me. And those actions done for Krishna is called service. Another word is service, that's all. These are all actions, no? You are hearing Krishna Katha, that is one action. So link all actions to me as far as possible. Action precedes knowledge. That's the point. Krishna doesn't say, Arjun, if you want to understand my plans, my observation, okay, let's discuss. Forget discussion. First serve me. Because if you discuss with me, anyway you're not going to understand what I am going to speak, My intelligence is far beyond than you. So serve me. If you serve me, then I will give you mercy so that you will be able to understand what I want to make you understand. You understand? That's the point. So spiritual life begins with action, with service, not with knowledge. That is why people who want to understand God, and they bring so many books. Philosophers, theologians, theosophists, they keep on reading, and they don't understand anything about God. Most of them end up in controversies. Is it theological controversies? And they keep on solving that. And then, nothing. Most of these philosophers, they are not sense controlled. No sense control. So, action precedes knowledge. Always remember. That's the rule which Krishna is bringing up in 3rd chapter. Action helps to mature knowledge into realization. That's what Krishna is developing, a theme. So anytime you have to choose service or knowledge, serve Krishna. Without service, knowledge is ignorance. Knowledge is confusion. It's contradiction. That is why Prabhupada says, Kirtan is for masses, philosophy is for classes. Prabhupada always said. Prabhupada said, when people are coming, new people, ask them to do Kirtan. Give them prasad. Ask them to serve Krishna, no matter how they want to do. With body, with their money, however they want to do, whatever they want to contribute, ask them. Slowly they get mercy of Krishna. So slowly the intelligence becomes pure, fine, subtle, so that they can understand Krishna. Krishna is the subtlest of thing, no? It's difficult to understand God, no? You can understand earth nicely. You can understand, it's difficult to understand sound. It is more subtle. It's very difficult to understand air. You can't touch, you can't feel. How do you understand? It's extremely difficult to understand what is space. That's the subtlest. Mind, subtlest of subtle thing. Almost impossible to understand. Beyond science. Science is still fighting what is mind. Science is fighting for the fact whether mind exists or not. And it's common sense, you know. How do you fight whether mind exists or not without mind? First of all, how do you do that? So it's a mindless debate, first of all. So that's, beyond mind is intelligence. Intelligence is very difficult to understand, more subtle. You see? Beyond intelligence is soul. Soul is very difficult to understand and perceive. Subtlest of all. And super soul is subtlest of subtlest of subtlest. So your mind should be subtle. Subtle means pure, free of distractions. Is it? And that is why, suppose so many people are sitting here. Now, many times you are hearing something, but your mind is somewhere, no? So if you read Bhagavad Gita, half of the time, people will say, we can't understand Gita, it's so difficult. Because half of the mind is going here and there, no? So to stabilize mind and to purify heart so that we can understand knowledge, you need Karma Yoga. You understand? So that's Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga will help you to mature knowledge, to get knowledge. So what is Karma Yoga all about? Action for Krishna, serving Krishna. This material, people who follow Karma Yoga, that's the first step. Krishna says in 3rd chapter, we're talking about observation. Mundane people, now see, Krishna is telling, mundane, normal people observe this world as a place of enjoyment. Is it? Everything is for me. This is for me, this is for me, this is for me, this is for me, everything is for me. Scientists, they observe this material world as a big, what? Yeah, maybe big mystery, you know. It's a mystery, you have to demystify. Painters and artisans, and they view this world as beautiful nature. You know. And how does God perceive? God perceives this material world as a laboratory, as a lab. That's how his devotees perceive. That's the message of 3rd chapter, Karma Yoga. Krishna says this world is a big lab. And what do you do in lab? Experiment? Is it? Your life, you're doing an experiment here. You're sent for an experiment. You're on an experiment. This is no time to enjoy. When you're doing experiment, you have to be careful. If you do something wrong, there'll be a blast. No? If you add some wrong chemicals, there's a blast. That is death. I did something wrong, you know. Your life is lost. You waste your life without understanding God. So it's a big word. This is a lab. This word wants to teach you something. And you can learn from this word. The experiences of the word will teach you wisdom. That is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is very subtle science. Every experience you have in your life, it has got to teach you something. Fools, they try to avoid all the experiences or enjoy experiences. But wise people, they learn from those experiences. So how do you learn? When you serve Krishna, Krishna gives you necessary intelligence to learn from everything around you. Good or bad, you start learning. That is mode of goodness. Tatra satvam tatra satvam nirmalatvat prakashakam anamayam. Prakashakam, knowledge. You start understanding. You start understanding. Just like we all devotees. Before devotion, we were like just okay, nice parties, this, that, this, that. But now we can see, we can see in the word, we can see actually this word is not real happiness. It is suffering. We can understand that, we have got that sight, insight. How? This word taught us like that. If there was no material word, you would have never understood what is suffering. Without darkness, you can't appreciate light. Without material word, you cannot appreciate spiritual word. So that is why we are sent here. We are here on an experiment. You have to learn around what is happening around you. But without Krishna, you can't learn. You'll be fooled. So that is Karma Yoga, laboratory, okay. Now you're in lab, you're doing experiment, you get experiences, you're connected with Krishna, His Gita, He gives you necessary intelligence, you understand what's going around you. But the point is there any school where there's just laboratory? There is also some theory classes, no? Is it? Theory? 4th chapter is Jnana Yoga, transcendental knowledge. So that is a theory class. When you start acting for Krishna, Krishna will give you realizations and knowledge, and that is 4th chapter. So after Karma Yoga comes Jnana Yoga, and then that's a theory class. This is Jnana Yoga, what we are doing, discussing about the intricacies of knowledge. So that is knowledge, and you start getting knowledge, you start understanding what Krishna says. You see, before you were not able to understand. Now you start serving Him, you start understanding everything is suffering. Krishna comes along, Krishna also says, yes, Arjun, this is suffering. You understand. Yeah, now I understand. I accept, this makes sense. Your plans are making sense. Why do you observe everything in a different way? Now it's making sense. That's Jnana Yoga, knowledge. So without knowledge, action is mechanical. Only knowledge without action is speculation, no? Without action, knowledge is speculation. You become philosopher. You don't become devotee. And if you don't have knowledge, you just act. You become mechanical. If you don't know why you are doing what you are doing, is there any point of doing? Not much point, no? That's a blind faith. So that's 5th chapter. Krishna says action in Krishna consciousness. Arjun, link Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga together. Link knowledge and action together. Without knowledge, action is blind faith. It's just rituals. Without action, knowledge is mental speculation. You're just arguing back and forth, that's all. You're not doing anything for Krishna. That's 5th chapter. Action in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada introduces the term Krishna consciousness. Consciousness has to do with knowledge, is it? Knowledge means consciousness. Knowledge makes your thoughts. Thoughts makes your consciousness. So Prabhupada names it action in Krishna consciousness. Link Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Some people around the planet, or maybe 99% people, they are just acting. Rituals, no? General Hindu temple. People come, go. Have darshan, prasad, go. No knowledge. No lecture, first of all, in temples. Very few people are interested in sitting in lecture, because they don't understand what Krishna is doing. So most of the people of this world are either at 3rd chapter. Most of the people who are in spirituality. But general people are at which chapter? Maybe the 1st chapter. Depressed, They are observing like Arjun, Duryodhan, their life. They are depressed. They have no idea how Krishna observes his word. You know, when Ram was going in the forest, so Ram, Lakshman, Sita, is it? All three were there. So Lakshman saw the forest. Or Sita saw the forest. Sita said, so beautiful forest. Chitrakoot forest, so beautiful, so nice trees. Golden deer. Ram, why don't you get this deer for me? That's Sita is observing. Lakshman was observing forest as it's a dangerous place. What will happen to Ram and Sita? And so there was a tree. So Sita goes, she says, Ram, so nice tree, so nice fruits, nice leaves. And Lakshman was saying, no, Sita, just hold on. Maybe it's a beautiful tree, maybe it's a trick. Maybe there's something going on, it's a forest. And you know how Ram was observing? Ram was saying, Lakshman, Sita, you see these fallen leaves? There were leaves fallen in trees. They all dried. You see, Lakshman, like these people who are disconnected from God, they become dry and they die afterwards. Like these leaves. He is observing differently. See, when Prabhupada came to America, I think they took Prabhupada to LA, Los Angeles. And then they were showing buildings, big buildings. And Prabhupada saw those buildings. And devotees were showing, oh, they are skyscrapers, Prabhupada, yeah. Any Indian who comes to America, big buildings. So they showed Prabhupada. And they were happy observing these buildings. So Prabhupada observed. Prabhupada said, yeah. Prabhupada said, you see these people, they are intelligent fools. That's Prabhupada's observation. They are there. You have to be pretty intelligent to make big buildings, very intelligent. But they are fools because they use their intelligence to make something temporary, which will get destroyed 50, 100 years, maybe before that. Twin Tower, finish. So they should have used their intelligence to make something permanent. Then they would be intelligent. It's a very different thing. So that is what Krishna is coming to this point. Action and knowledge, when you combine together, then you start observing as God observes. Otherwise there's a problem. So most of us are at first chapter, some of us second chapter, many of us are not at even third chapter, and fourth chapter nobody knows. I'm talking about stages of realization, Fifth chapter, linking action and knowledge, very few devotees who understand. So that's fifth chapter. Are you understanding, all of you? Am I clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
If you raise your hands, I'll come to know. Okay, good. I want to know you understand, because otherwise I'm wasting my time. Time is also going. Okay, this is fifth chapter, action and Krishna consciousness. But the sixth chapter is, what's the name of sixth chapter? Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga dhyana means attention. Yoga means linking. Krishna says, Arjun, when you combine action and knowledge, when you combine Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, when you combine my service with my knowledge and try to see this word, you will get a very different picture of reality. You might get shocked. What you are seeing, that's not like that. Just like children, when we were child, what happened? Some guest used to come in a house, and Mama and Mummy Papa used to say, no, children, go in your room. We are talking serious talk, So we used to go in room and used to say, Mummy Papa, it's a very serious talk. No, we should be in our room. We should play. And when we become adult, then we understand what nonsense they were talking. It's of no use. They were just chit-chatting, But as a child, we thought, they're talking so serious thing. But when you grow adult, you know the reality. It's just a chit-chat. It's nothing so serious. But that's the point. We are child now. We are observing in a very funny, nonsense way. But when we observe from Krishna's perspective, it's a total different reality. So, you have to be attentive, because this knowledge can get lost very quickly. What you are doing for Krishna, this knowledge and realizations you get, realizations. Jnana Yoga means realizations. Knowledge without realization is not knowledge, it's just information. So it can get lost. There's so many distractions. So you have to be attentive. Attentive. Be attentive in Krishna consciousness. What do you mean by attentiveness? How do you get attentiveness in spirituality? How do you become attentive? By putting a microscope? Yes, you have to become attentive with association of devotees. You need association of devotees to become attentive, is it? Just like you are listening now to me. Are you attentive? All of you? Actually, no. You are not attentive. I am making you attentive. There's a difference. As soon as I stop lecture, you will be doing something else. I'm holding you by my words. So if you want to be attentive in spirituality, you need devotees. They will hold you. They will hold your consciousness so that you are forced to think about Krishna. That is Dhyana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga means getting association of devotees. See, it's a different take, no? We read Bhagavad Gita from different angle, but Krishna is doing something else. Abhyasana tu kaunteya vairagena cha dushkritam. Prabhupada says, take association of devotees. Be attentive. Repeat the process. That's what we are doing now. In one night you will not have all realizations. Keep on going. Abhyas. Keep on doing service. Keep on taking knowledge. Slowly you will advance. And as you are advancing, be careful. Don't deviate. Don't get distracted. Don't accept anybody's opinion. Entire word might say Krishna, leave Krishna. But you should be absolutely sure. Forget, I leave this word. Not Krishna. That's all. That's 6th chapter, okay. Done. So what's 7th chapter? What's the name of 7th chapter? Knowledge of the absolute truth. Now Krishna begins with a topic of himself. Now we have understood how to observe this world. This world is full of sufferings, we have understood. If you follow 3rd, 4th, 5th chapter, you will get this realization by mercy of Krishna. Is miserable. The only worth thing in this world is our soul, which is eternal, and holy name. 2 things are worth pursuing. Everything is worthless. Your life is worth it if you understand these 2 things: your soul and the name of God. That's all. But the point is, if you want to understand name of God, you have to understand who is God. If you want to understand what is soul, you have to understand super soul. So whom we want to understand first, soul or super soul? Soul or God? You want to understand yourself or God first? God. You know why? Because Krishna gives example in 7th chapter. Krishna says, see, if there is darkness, you will not be able to see your hand, no? You can't see your hand in darkness. Your eyes are proper, your vision is proper, everything is okay, but still you can't see. Why? Because there is no light, no sun. With the help of sun you can see, even though you have everything correct. Eyes, optic nerves, brain, everything is correct. I said without sun you can't see. So if you want to understand yourself, your soul, you have to understand God. Without God, you will not be able to see your soul. You close your eyes, what do you find inside? What do you find?
Darkness.
You see, I'm not joking. Just everybody close your eyes. What's there? There's darkness. You open your eyes, there's Krishna. There's in front of us. But what is inside? Darkness. It's a proof. There's science, no? There's evidence. I prove to you, you're full of darkness. Is it? You're not full of light. We can't see ourselves, we can't see God. So Krishna says, 7th chapter, okay Arjun, if you want to understand my plan, now you are ready. You have practiced Karma Yoga, you have practiced Jnana Yoga, you have served me, you have got knowledge, little knowledge, and you are attentive. Now I will tell about myself. 7th chapter, knowledge of absolute truth. Here is the beginning of spiritual life. Real spiritual life begins from 7th chapter, knowing God. You are ready to understand God. Yes, 7th chapter. Because that is knowledge of absolute. But the question is, okay, if you understand God, you start serving Him, no? Is it? Understanding why Krishna is telling about Himself, because it will help you to do actions with much more enthusiasm. It will inspire Karma Yoga. Is it? You are serving God. If you know Him, you want to serve Him more. So Krishna says, okay, fine. So, but the question is, Arjuna asked, Krishna, okay, if I understand you and if I understand your plans, what is the result? What's the result? Everybody wants some benefit, no? Is it? Everybody wants some benefit. What's the benefit? What's the point of understanding your plans? What would I get? What is the point of understanding how you observe this material world? Krishna says, yes, 8th chapter. What is 8th chapter? Attaining the Supreme. Krishna says, if you understand my plans, you attain me. If you have your own plans, what do you attain? If you understand my plan, you come to spiritual world. Because you understand Supreme Spirit. If you have your own plans, you take birth in material world, suffer, that's all. That's 8th chapter. Yeah, attaining the Supreme. Our goal is to attain Krishna. Attaining means that asking Krishna, you please come from altar into my heart. That is attaining Him. You have come here in the temple, you are observing, you are seeing Krishna, but you have to see how Krishna is seeing you. That's the perfection of life. That is what Gita is all about, no? We are coming here, we are seeing Krishna is beautiful, but you have to think what Krishna is thinking when you are there, He's seeing you. That's the point. You are understanding? What Krishna is thinking by seeing me, not just what I am thinking by seeing Krishna. That was a problem with Arjuna. Arjuna was thinking, Krishna, I don't want to fight. But Arjuna never thought what Krishna is thinking when he is seeing Arjuna. The switch there. So 8th chapter tells you the aim of life is to attain God. Why? Because when you come here and see Krishna, you think, Krishna give me peace, happiness, satisfaction, whatever. Krishna is thinking when he sees you, why are you rotting in this material world? Come to me. That's what he is thinking. So you are observing from your platform, and that's why you are asking Krishna this. But better you think what Krishna is thinking. Krishna is thinking, come on, what you are doing. What you are doing in Houston. Come back to spiritual world. I am waiting for you. That's attaining the Supreme. We want to attain God not because we want to attain God. We want to attain God because He wants us back. That's the point there. Otherwise you miss the whole point. That's 8th chapter, attaining the Supreme. You see how observation is getting twisted? You see? Changing? Krishna is slowly convincing Arjuna. Arjuna, see through my eyes. No, what was that? See through my eyes. If you want. That's Gita. If anybody asks you, what is Gita? In one line, just tell them, seeing through the eyes of God. That is Bhagavad Gita. 1st chapter. So, oh my God, time is going. Through the eyes of God, time is going. Okay, I don't have time for question answers, but anyway, that's okay. So what is 9th chapter? Most confidential knowledge. Now Krishna comes to the point, okay. Now you have, Arjuna, you have understood how to see through my eyes. Now I am giving you the most confidential knowledge. You will not be able to see through my eyes. You will not be able to observe this reality as I observe unless you have love for me. Is it? Without love you can't do that, no? Only lovers can understand each other. Philosophers cannot. You understand? So only a lover can understand what his beloved wants, even without him saying anything. So he'll bring on birthday you bring a gift. Here's a gift. And then your beloved, she'll become happy. Oh yeah. How did you understand? I wanted this. No, it happens many times. So by love, that is 9th chapter, love. That is why the aim of life is love. Because without love, it is impossible to understand how Krishna observes this reality. You will be observing reality from your own perspective. You cannot do that. 100%. That's most confidential knowledge. Develop love for me. Okay, so Gita is finished here? No. Pretty much mission, we develop love, finish. But no, this 10th chapter. 10th chapter Krishna speaks from his own. Krishna says, no, Arjuna. So So what is 10th chapter? Opulence of the absolute. Now Krishna says, when you start developing love for Krishna, you want to know him more, is it? That's love all about, no? It's not that I love you and I don't want to know anything about you. That's not love. So 10th chapter is opulence. Krishna speaks about his power. You want to know about me? So I'll tell about myself. If you don't want to know about me, I will not tell about myself. You do your own business, I'll do my own business. That's all. I have nothing to do with you. Simple. So when you're on the path of love, Krishna, who are you? How do you walk? How do you talk? Who are you? Krishna says, this is my power. 10th chapter. 11th chapter, Krishna shows his power. Universal form. Arjuna says, Krishna, well, you're saying you're powerful, but can you show? Is there any evidence? Signs, no? I want to see. Pratyaksh. 11th chapter is universal form. So he sees, Krishna shows. 12th chapter, what's the name? Devotional service. That Krishna now says, Arjun, not only I am powerful, but I am sweet. So you want to know about me? Okay, know about me. Devotee says, yeah, Krishna, anything more, you are powerful, I understand. Okay, I am sweet also. Not just powerful. You don't have to surrender to me just. You can love me. That is devotion service. 12th chapter. Gita is finished? No. We all know it's not finished. There's some things left. And what is left is, everything seems simple, but nothing is simple in this material world now. There are obstacles. So Krishna talks about obstacles on the path of devotional life. 13th and 14th chapter talks about 2 obstacles which you will face, which every devotee will face. 13th chapter is nature, enjoyer and consciousness. The first obstacle when you come to Krishna, when you practice spirituality, is from within. Nature, enjoyer and consciousness. Your own enjoying propensity. We want to enjoy. Enjoying is not bad, but we want to enjoy without Krishna. That is bad. So we are our own enemy. 14th chapter is obstacle from outside. What is the name of 14th chapter?
3 modes.
Yeah, 3 modes of material nature. Gunatraya Vibhag Yoga. Second obstacle is from outside. Diseases, problems, cyclones, Katrina, whatever. Cold, heat. There's so many problems, That's obstacle. So how do you surpass these both obstacles? 15th chapter. What's the name of 15th chapter? Yoga of the Supreme. Krishna says in 15th chapter, Asanga Shastrena Dridena Chitva. Krishna says 15th chapter, the only way you can get rid of these obstacles is association of devotees. By your intelligence, you will not be able to surpass obstacles of spiritual life. It's impossible. Many people fell down. Take association of devotees. That's the sword you have. So, it's done, Gita? No, 16th, 17th chapter. Now you are practicing spiritual life. You also want to know that you are advancing or not, is it? So if you are advancing in spiritual life, you want to know the symptoms. I can't just come to temple and come and go, and I don't know what's happening with my life. I'm advancing or not. 16th chapter, 17th chapter, it gives you 2 signs of advancement. What is the name of 16th chapter? Divine and demoniac. Krishna says, if you are practicing spirituality perfectly and nicely, the first symptom you will get is you will get rid of all bad qualities, you will develop good qualities. The most important good quality is sense control. You'll develop sense control. That's a quality which materialist non-devotees cannot have. Is it? They can be truthful, they can be gentlemen, they can be everything. What about sense control? No. That you will get. You will get control over your mind, intelligence. Once you get control over your mind, intelligence, you get all good qualities, no? 16th chapter. 17th chapter is second symptom. If you are practicing spirituality nicely, what do you get? Divisions of faith. Your faith becomes determined. Your faith is infused with knowledge and determination. Nobody can now confuse you. And what's the 18th chapter? What's that? Conclusions. 18th chapter, Krishna says, Arjun, are you convinced that my observation is correct? Are you convinced, all of you? Now we understand God, we understand science of devotion, and we understand if we follow Him, we are going to have peace and satisfaction, happiness. We are going to go back to Krishna. If we don't observe this material world as He observes, we are going to end in sufferings. That's why Krishna ends 18th chapter, Sarv Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Krishna says, Arjun, now surrender to me. Forget your plans. Observe this battle as I am observing. Fight. Fight with the reason I have given you. Fight to prove you are my servant. Anyway, this fight is going to happen. I am going to kill everybody. So Arjuna says, why anyway I have to fight? Because I want to show you are my devotee. And devotion means love. And love means understanding what's Krishna's desire. Krishna's desire is to fight. So I must fight. See? For fulfilling his desire, not just for winning or whatever. That's pretty much Bhagavad Gita. So if you understand Bhagavad Gita, your observation changes. You start thinking how Krishna thinks. Prabhupada says, just 1 minute. Prabhupada says, Krishna consciousness means thinking about Krishna. That's the first level. But the second level is you have to think how Krishna thinks about you. That's the perfection of life. Prabhupada says in one of his lectures, if you can think how Krishna thinks about you, you'll perfect your life. And for that you need this book, Bhagavad Gita, to perfect your life. And that is love of God. That's what we are aiming for. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. Thank you very much for hearing. Question answers we will attend